I am Collin Caves. I guess a little bit about my background before I start. I have a history in networking and cybersecurity. I've been in the field for about 8 years. So I've been playing around with Discord bots lately, and I discovered some stuff that I thought was pretty funny. But API bot shells is what I'm going to talk about here. So there was a few projects that came before this. Just to be clear, I thought I discovered this first, but I didn't. So most of the time, people use these for CTF events. Multiple people can see and interact with the boxes at the same time through Slack, Discord, Teams, what it be. I guess so. Just a background in this. I started using Discord. The Discord bot. I was trying to find an example. I was trying to find a reason to access my box remotely when my IP changed, because MediaCom was changing it all the time. And so I was using the system access shell from Python. Sorry, Brandon Murphy brought me a drink, and now I'm trying to recover here. So I guess to back up, the API services allow you in Python or in any language to pull up a shell. Like I said, the original intentions here. The code. So I use Python and Discord. There's so many different ways, like I just showed you. But it's basically you're calling in, it's a command and control server to something like Discord, which masks the traffic through. It just looks like Discord traffic. Code was really simple. It was 28 lines long, and I'm not a programmer, so this could probably be simplified much better. But so my working scenario was Python, Discord, a Discord Pi library pre-installed with Ubuntu server. This is like best case scenario. So I use my Pi-hole at home, and as you can see, I mean, you're just executing the command from Discord. You're getting response. So my thought was, I thought this was kind of sneaky. I thought maybe endpoint response, AV, wasn't picking up on stuff like this. So how far can I take it? I'm pulling past WDs into Discord. At first, I thought Discord had like a 2,000 character limit. I don't know how many characters are here, but I'm dumping an entire past WD, and I'm enumerating a box, in theory. So roadblocks I had initially was your victim needs to have Python 3, Node.js, whatever language you're using, has to have it installed. I think in theory you could probably do it with something lower level, but I'm not that skilled. So I went with Python. Discord has a character limit. I'm not sure what the limit is. They seem to be changing it a lot. And you don't get a full shell. You're limited to what you can do. You can't, I mean, you're not going to be able to run enumeration tools or a ton of output. But you can pivot into that stuff. You also have no access to sudo or pip. The idea was you're at a user level access. You've phished somebody. You're in the company. You get out using, I guess, for example, if you use Teams or Slack, your business, this traffic is masked as that. So real world proof of concept. The assumed previous access was gained at user level. Phishing, would it be? I was using Discord. That's what I was comfortable with. I had built a few bots on it prior. There's Teams, there's Reddit, there's whatever you want to use. If they have an API, this is easily done. I used an Ubuntu server, base install, and then a Windows 10 21H1 base install with Windows AV at this point. And the exploit was a little bit frustrating to get started. I was learning a lot with the way Python libraries worked when I was doing this. Obviously, you needed the Discord library, but on top of that, to install anything in Discord or in Python, you needed pip, which doesn't come by default. and you need root to install it. So I started building the libraries manually. This is just more of like library failures. There was a lot of dependencies. I think ultimately this wasn't all the dependencies, but this was most of them. I built a folder, and I used whatever you need to use, SCP, wget, curl, anything you can do to get the folder onto the box. That's probably going to be the noisiest part of the install. Once it's on the box, it's pretty easy to get running on Linux because they have Python pre-installed. And at that point, you're running the shell. And I mean, this is at user level still. Just to reiterate, no root access is needed. I'm running commands through Discord. I know I'm moving through this talk a little bit fast, but so Windows exploitation. I don't think there was no huge roadblocks with Windows. It was the same idea. It needed a lot of dependencies. I expected Windows AV to be an issue. It was not. I think you're going to deal with issues with Python. Particularly in my case, I used Python to install it. It could be noisy if you're watching for it. If not, again, this is a pretty cool, I mean, maybe users use Python, I don't know. Once again, though, I'm on the box executing as a non-root, non-administrator user. So I wanted to take it a step further and test it against some ADR. I won't name who, but I think they're a great tool. It's nothing against them. I think this is just an interesting, unique situation. But Linux server with the EDR agent installed. So the top picture there is just proving the process is running. Bottom picture there is showing that the files are uploaded on the box. And I'm running with absolutely no alerts. I never got alerts. And this is a full shell back to Discord. And just to reiterate, I guess, Zoom, Slack, Reddit, all of this can go back. It's pretty hidden traffic. Windows as well. I mean, it's the same agent, so it's not detecting anything. So my takeaway, I learned a lot going through all this, particularly the way I think your EDR rules are super important to make sure you're taking, if Mike in accounting doesn't need Python, you should be watching for that. You should be blocking that. PowerShell, any tools like that. Security tools aren't to blame here. This is pretty standard web traffic. Prerequisites, you could do this through a rubber ducky. You could get this pre-installed with a rubber ducky to call home, install something, or it could be a remote code execution. It could be phishing. Making a persistent connection. It's pretty quiet, I think. I didn't detect anything. I was looking for it and I didn't detect anything. It's something to watch for, particularly in processes more than anything. Users just shouldn't be running coding languages like Python. The libraries need dependencies. I think that's what I learned most in this situation. I'm not a programmer. Building these Python libraries, putting them all together was probably the hardest part, but it was pretty easy. I packaged it all. I'll post it after the talk. I think it was fun to play with, but the sky's the limit. Like I said, Python and Discord were my toolkit. I'm pretty dumb with this stuff. If you can build this in C, or you can dumb this down and hide it as, if your company uses Slack and you can hide it as binary, I can imagine this would be very hard to track. And I guess my thought was I wanted to bring this to light. I don't know how much people think about some of this stuff as C2, but it kind of freaked me out, I guess. So I know I went a little fast, but I guess, are there any questions? Or yeah, in the back. I'm sorry. So the libraries were literally Okay, yeah. So you said do the victims need the libraries installed, right? So the libraries, it was just a bunch of files, really. I mean, you're not installing anything. Once I got the folder itself onto the box, Windows needed Python. That was the trick. Linux didn't. So if you can just get the folders or even a zip file onto Linux, you can be executing this. You have to get the Discord bot and everything set up and get the token, but there's no installation. On Linux, on Windows, you need whatever library or language you're using. I didn't use WSL. I guess I didn't think about using WSL. My thought was I wanted a user level laptop, something that might already be accessible. I made it pretty easy, pretty simple. I guess maybe enabling WSL as a feature might be easier. I don't know. I hadn't tried with that yet, but it's totally an option. I mean, the sky's the limit. So that's what, I mean, and I was crunching to kind of figure this out because my history with Python is like scripting network changes. I don't fully understand how Python itself is operating. I don't know if you can compile. That's why I was considering binaries. I can't write in C though, or I can't write in low languages like that, but totally an option. I can see that as being an easier way to do it. Mm-hmm. Okay. And yeah, and it runs it as like an exe or okay, yeah. Yeah, and that's my point is, if you can get something like that running persistently and talking to whatever service you use as a business, in my opinion, I think it would be pretty hard to find. With my limited experience, it would be hard to track. So what he's saying is you can bundle Python into an executable. You can bundle the libraries and everything you need into an executable, and then you can run it natively into Windows. Okay, PyExe. Py to exe, okay. Right. Yeah. Yep. And I think PowerShell. I was trying to avoid PowerShell just in the sense that if you're using, I mean, I don't know PowerShell, I guess personally well, but if you're using an EDR properly, end users probably shouldn't be executing PowerShell as either, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, if you can PowerShell to exe, which I know is also a thing, putting anything in binary and covering it up is what I was kind of bringing light to. I don't know. It was super simple code, super easy to use. I thought it was interesting. So, are there any more questions? So if in what Craig asked is if you do a Py to exe, would EDR detect it? I don't think it would, because what the code is doing is calling. It's calling to Discord. That's all it's doing. I mean, it's encrypted traffic to Discord or to Slack or to what. I mean, it's worth testing. Totally worth testing, and that's why I tested EDR out of curiosity, because I don't think this would be worth talking about if it would just got by AV and EDR. But it's really just it's web traffic. So I won't discuss. Yeah. It's not their file. I love them as an EDR. It's just I thought this was they were what I use, and it was a good chance to try them out. So, all right, is that all the questions? I know it was a little fast, but Brandon pumped me full of alcohol. So, all right, thank you guys.